Welcome to another edition of Green is Good. This is the Green Festival edition of Green is Good, and we're here in Washington, D.C., and we've got Tim Keating. He's the Executive Director of Rainforest Relief. Welcome to Green is Good, Tim.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
Tim, before we get talking about your great organization, the Rainforest Relief Organization, talk a little bit about Tim Keating. How did you even get to this point as the Executive Director? Was this something that you were raised with everything green, or is this something you learned along the way and you got really excited about the environment, about sustainability during your journey?
I would have to say it was definitely a journey.
A journey.
Yeah, in fact, when I first started going out into the woods, not necessarily just to play, but I would say as a budding naturalist, my parents didn't really know what to make of it, and neither did my friends. So I picked up field guides eventually and went out there starting to identify everything. And I definitely, at the time, this was pretty unusual, so I was seen as a bit of an oddball. But ultimately, I think in terms of the journey, starting Rainforest Relief, I was actually older, much older, and went through a number of alternatives. I had actually gone to college for environmental science eventually, because I really couldn't think of anything else. When people kept asking, what do you want to do when you get old? I couldn't think of anything else I would want to do except something involved with environmental work.
Wow.
But then, interestingly, having done a number of things as hobbies and whatnot when I came out of college, I got a new lens for my camera, and I started getting involved in photography so heavily that I decided I wanted to do that. It led me to a bunch of other things away from environmental work that I was doing for probably about 8 years. And what ended up happening was, by the time I was growing tired of those things, really what was going on for me is this kind of earth, I think, dragging me back into environmental work. And I went back out looking specifically to get involved. When I was very young, like 14, 15, I think I might have signed my first petition, Greenpeace petition, to save the whales, and my parents, I remember, were giving me little whale trinkets and whatnot because I was into the whales for a number of years. And so for me, the Greenpeace whaling campaign was kind of the iconic, got people out there on Zodiacs getting in between the whales and the whalers, was something I never forgot. And not only was it possibly the most effective campaign in history, but it kind of called to me. So literally, when I was looking for work in environmental, in something to do environmentally, it was in the back of my head. How can I get out there on the Zodiacs at Greenpeace, save some whales? But of course, that opportunity didn't necessarily present itself to me until much later, believe it or not. But so I was looking for something along those lines, and saw a flyer up at the local community college where I was going back to use their computers in the computer lab, and I saw this flyer and it said, do you want to save rainforests? And call this number. So I called this guy, and we ended up starting Rainforest Relief.
And how many years ago was that?
That was in 1989 that I called him.
Wow.
We incorporated in 1990.
So for our listeners and our viewers out there, we've got Tim Keating. He's the Executive Director of Rainforest Relief. You can find Tim and his great organization at rainforestrelief.org, rainforestrelief.org. Tim, what is Rainforest Relief, and what do you specifically do, and what's your mission?
Sure. Mainly what we've done is try to educate people about the linkages that they have when they buy products in terms of the destruction of rainforests and what those alternatives might be. So our main focus has been the use of tropical hardwoods. All of our research has said that logging for export wood is the primary factor leading to deforestation in the tropics. So when you look at very small quantities of tropical wood here in the US or in Japan or Europe, the impact on the woods has been enormous, just for even literally very, very small quantities, like a few board feet of very, very high quality, high grade material here can mean that they've logged a whole tree to get it. And those trees very often are only found one or two individuals per acre. So
Wow.
when you look at a 20-foot long beam of Ipe
Yeah.
that has no defects, no knots or defects the entire length of the board, that may be the only board like that that has come from an entire Ipe tree, literally. So, so therefore, when you're ordering 40,000 board feet like New York City used to do, or now other towns, whatnot, for their boardwalks, you're talking about vast areas of rainforest being logged, and this is selective. They call it selective logging, but we call it high grading. Most of it's done illegally, and then once those loggers have bulldozed roads into the forest, then it provides access for all sorts of other extractive industries like agriculture, mining, and whatnot. So it's the logging very often, though, that we see is the avant-garde of deforestation that leads to the rest of the forest being completely destroyed.
And where I've been in the rainforests in Brazil, how many rainforests are there around the world?
Well, Brazil is, the Amazon rainforest. I think something like 50% of Brazil is rainforest, right? It's the Amazon. So Brazil has actually the largest area of rainforest in it of any country in the world, tropical rainforest. But it's not the only Amazon country in South America.
Right.
Peru, as you're probably aware.
Right.
Ecuador, Colombia. There are a number of countries that Suriname and others that have that are parts of the Amazon are within their borders. But then, if you go across the ocean, you've got a very large area of rainforest in West Africa. Down below 50% now of what it used to be, the former extent. And then Southeast Asia, vast areas of rainforest there, with the largest country, Indonesia, having the largest amount of rainforest within their borders. Many islands, of course, but Borneo and Sumatra, and the island of Borneo being divided between Indonesia and Malaysia. So you have Malaysian Borneo and Indonesian Borneo, but Borneo almost all rainforest. And and then we see small pockets. Hawaii has some rainforest, and Central America has quite a lot as well. But what we've seen in general is we're looking at more than 50% deforestation at this time. And if you look at the estimate of how long these rainforests may last, it's probably only another 30 years. So at the current rate of deforestation,
Wow.
all accessible rainforests will be done in our lifetime. And so this is beyond tragic. This is actually cataclysmic. It's the only word I can come up with, because it means that we're losing species at a rate that's unprecedented since life began on Earth. I mean, even faster than when an asteroid slammed into the planet 65 million years ago. We are losing species faster today than after that asteroid slammed into the planet.
So you've been doing this 25 years. We got water shortages, climate change.
That's right.
The rainforest is being eroded exponentially. What do we attack?
Yeah, it's daunting, right?
It's daunting.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit overwhelming
and let me tell you,
daunting at the same time.
And I went through all that, and I have to say, I still have my moments. I can be walking onto the metro, like today, go by two buildings sided with Ipe from the Brazilian Amazon, and then get to the train station where there are benches inside, underneath the canopy, that are made of rainforest wood. There's no reason for that, really.
Wow.
And so I get very frustrated when I just walking around, I see the benches and whatnot all made of tropical hardwoods. So I think, though, the only possibility of us turning this around is very quickly this kind of thing, what we see going on here today. Each of us individually and us as a society has to go through a sea change. And it happened for me. It took a lot of years, but eventually I guess some of us refer to it as I got radicalized. I've been arrested for protests over a dozen times, but I'm not saying everyone needs to do that. But certainly what we do need to, one thing we absolutely do need to do, and I'll be talking about this tomorrow, is look at what we buy. Because that is, in this current society, in modern United States, we probably have more vote with our dollars in terms of what the world decides to do than we do currently when we go to the voting booth,
really
right?
True.
And so every time we plunk down a dollar, as we know from Economics 101, we're sending a message that says, I want this, go make more. And every time we refuse to plunk down a dollar, we're sending another message that says, you know what, I don't want that.
Voting with your pocketbooks.
Don't bother making any more of it. And so we have this incredible power, supply and demand. And for people who believe that we have no power, this is in modern America, this is probably the greatest power we have, other than actually getting involved as citizens and going out there and protesting or talking to other people and talking to our congresspeople and whatnot. But every day we're buying stuff, and this has become the cause célèbre, right? And so what I'm saying to folks is, look at the products we buy, and at least for our top 10, top 15 products to avoid. Some of these shifts are very easy. Some are not so easy. How do we avoid steel? How do we avoid aluminum? You know, it's not necessarily very easy. Avoiding tropical hardwoods, I can say, is probably fairly easy. You have to know how to do that, though. Call us up, send us an email. I'll spend however long I need to on the phone with you to get you to do that. But chocolate and coffee and bananas, got to be organic, got to be shade grown. You know, those are some very simple, like the simple three. How do we avoid palm oil? You know, we got to look at the ingredients on packages. Not that hard to do, but it's in a lot of things. So some of our favorite foods that we buy at the supermarket might actually have palm oil in there. So
is your office here in DC?
We don't have an office in DC. We're based in New York. We have an office in Portland, Oregon as well, and another one in Los Angeles.
So DC, New York, Portland,
and LA. Yeah.
We're here at the Green Festival. This is the Green Festival edition of Green is Good.
Right.
Tomorrow you're speaking.
Yes.
The topic tomorrow, the title of your presentation?
Rainforest destruction. Actually, I call it Consuming Earth to Death and How We Can Stop.
Wow.
So, you know, but I talk mostly about rainforest because to me that is the epitome of the fluorescence, if you will, of life on Earth, the biology of life.
For our listeners and our viewers out there that want to make a difference, that love what you're saying, believe everything, and know you've been doing it 25 years, so you're an expert at this. How do they get involved? How do they donate? How do they help support your mission?
Yeah, we have a donate button on our website. We also have a Fundly page up. You can find us on there if you want to help. It's a little crowdfunding site.
Right.
And info@rainforestrelief.org, simplest way. And I will personally answer that email. If you got a question about which woods to avoid, getting involved with the organization.
Perfect, Tim. We wish you luck tomorrow in your engagement here at the Green Festival.
Thank
it's very
you
important that you continue to get the word out. If you want to help Tim and his great organization push the mission forward, it's rainforestrelief.org. Tim Keating, thank you for making the world a better place. You are truly living proof that green is good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.